Greetings, fellow viewers. This is Chairman Capo of the People's Right Advocative Platform, a minority advocacy group for the English-speaking people of Cameroon, which we want to call ourselves Ambazonia. Today, I want to bring you updates and breaking news that is coming from Finland. The Biafran self-declared Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, have been arrested by Finnish authorities for inciting violence with the intention of terror, that means terror-related violence in Nigeria. Simon Ekpa is the leader, self-declared leader of one of the Biafran groups that has fallen off with Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently in detention in Nigeria. He was illegally picked up from Kenya into Nigeria. So I want to inform you that Simon Ekpa has been arrested. Simon Ekpa had partnered with Dr. Cho Ayaba of the Ambazonian movement, leader of the Ague of Sea and the ADF of Ambazonia, who is also in prison in Norway for charges related to incitement of crimes against humanity. It's very important that I lay the background to our people to understand and to learn from what is happening. Simon Ekpa, like Ayaba Cho, have previously had encounters with authorities in their countries of residence. On February 2023, Simon Ekpa was arrested in Finland for inciting violence that amounted to terrorism in his effort to fight against the Nigerian election. He was subsequently released because of lack of evidence. He was not charged in court. So just like the previous case, he has been arrested. He has not been arraigned. That means he has not been charged in the court. So we'll be monitoring the situation within the next 48 hours, according to the procedures in Finland, whether he will be charged this time in court. Unlike Ayaba Cho, who have been arraigned, that means he has been charged in the Norway court for inciting crimes against humanity in Cameroon. And the case that have been cited is statements he made asking people to kill Francophones, to kidnap Francophones, that was subsequently followed up by his forces in Bamenda, where 10 people were slaughtered in the name of attacking Francophones. That is clearly a crime against humanity, and he deserves to be arrested. So he was not arrested on a bogus claim. Both Simon Ekpa and Ayaba Cho are all European citizens carrying European passport. Europeans are known for their fairness in their justice, and we know that these cases are cases that are not just made up by this.
This video provides detailed commentary from Capo Daniel on the arrest of Simon Ekpa in Finland and Dr. Cho Ayaba in Norway. Both figures are leaders in movements advocating for Biafra and Ambazonia independence, respectively. Simon Ekpa, the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile, was arrested by Finnish authorities for allegedly inciting violence amounting to terrorism in Nigeria. This is not his first arrest. He faced similar charges in February 2023 but was released due to a lack of evidence. His current case is under review with no formal charges filed yet because there was no evidence pertaining to his arrest. Dr. Cho Ayaba, the leader of the Ambazonia Defense Forces (ADF), has been charged in Norway for incitement of crime against humanity. His alleged actions include encouraging violence against Francophones in Cameroon, resulting in atrocities carried out by associated forces. Capo Daniel criticizes both leaders for allowing violent acts to be carried out in their names, arguing that this undermines the legitimate causes of Biafra and Ambazonia movement. He highlights the importance of disciplined leadership that prioritizes the welfare of their people and adheres to international norms, even in the fight for freedom. Capo Daniel contrasts the actions of these leaders with past African freedom fighters who maintained integrity and upheld human rights while advocating for independence. He urges leaders and activists to focus on building genuine capacity and using lawful moral means to advance their causes. Both movements are encouraged to learn from this development and re-evaluate strategies to avoid further harm to their people and their causes. Let me tell you a story, one that cuts across continents and shines a light on the highs and lows of fighting for justice and freedom. This isn't just any tale, it is a conversation about two men whose names have become synonymous with struggles for independence, Simon Ekpa and Dr. Cho Ayaba. They are figures at the center of movements advocating for Biafra and Ambazonia. But recent events have painted a cautionary picture of their leadership. So grab a seat as I unravel the events surrounding their arrest and what we can learn from their actions. First, let's talk about Simon Ekpa. Simon Ekpa is a name that resonates deeply with the Biafra independence movement. As the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile, he has been a vocal advocate for the cause. But here is the twist. Finnish authorities arrested him recently on charges of inciting violence tantamount to terrorism in Nigeria. This wasn't the first time either. Back in February 2023, he faced similar allegations but was released due to insufficient evidence. Now, with this new arrest, the stakes has grown higher. On the other hand, we have Dr. Cho Ayaba, a leader of the Ambazonia Defense Forces (ADF). Dr. Cho Ayaba's fight for Ambazonia, the English-speaking regions of Cameroon, has earned him both admirers and critics. Recently, he was charged in Norway for inciting crimes against humanity. The charges stem from his alleged cause for violence against Francophones in Cameroon, which reportedly led to atrocities committed in his name. These actions raise serious questions about the cost of leadership and the moral boundaries in the fight for freedom. Capo Daniel, a prominent advocate for the rights of marginalized groups, weighed in on these developments. With a firm yet empathetic tone, he criticized both leaders for allowing violence to be carried out under their banners. He argued that such actions undermine the legitimate causes of Biafra and Ambazonia. According to Capo Daniel, true leadership should be disciplined and rooted in a commitment to the welfare of the people, even in the face of oppression. The greatest freedom fighters in history, he said, were those who maintained their integrity. They fought with honor even when the odds were against them. And isn't that the truth? From Nelson Mandela to Mahatma Gandhi, history is replete with examples of leaders who stood firm without crossing moral lines. In the 1960s, African freedom fighters waged their battles for independence from the diaspora. Yet, unlike today, they weren't arrested for their activism because their method adhered to international norms. Leaders like Simon Ekpa and Dr. Cho Ayaba could learn much from these past movements. Instead of resorting to tactics that harm their own people, they could focus on building genuine capacity and advocating for their causes through lawful and moral means. One of the recurring themes in this story is the role of ego and propaganda. Both Simon Ekpa and Cho Ayaba, in their bid to assert dominance within their respective movements, have been accused of promoting harmful ideologies. Capo Daniel called this the peacock syndrome, a phenomenon where leaders prioritize appearances over substance. This, he argued, is a betrayal of their people's trust. Think about it. How can you claim to fight for a people when your actions end up hurting them? How can you justify policies that exacerbate their suffering? These are questions that every leader in such movement must answer. Capo Daniel's message wasn't just a critique, it was a call to action. He urges leaders and activists to re-evaluate their strategies. Our cause is just, he emphasized, but that doesn't give us a blank check to do anything in its name. He pointed out that even in war, there are rules designed to protect the very people this movement claims to represent. For instance, both Simon Ekpa and Cho Ayaba have been accused of associating with groups known for kidnapping and other violent acts. Capo Daniel highlighted how such alliances might offer short-term gains but ultimately lead to long-term damage. You don't build a house on a shaky foundation, he said. Similarly, you can't build a movement on the backs of atrocities. To understand the gravity of this situation, we must consider the human cost of these actions. In Biafra and Ambazonia, civilians have borne the brunt of the violence. Families have been displaced, lives have been lost, and communities have been torn apart. While Simon Ekpa and Cho Ayaba may not have directly committed these acts, their rhetoric and lack of control over associated forces have contributed to the chaos. Capo Daniel emphasized that leadership comes with responsibility. If you are not in control of your forces, he said, then you are not leading. You are merely reacting. This lack of control has allowed opportunist groups to exploit the movement, causing more harm than good. What does it mean to build a genuine movement? According to Daniel, it starts with discipline and a clear vision. Leaders must establish structures that reflect their commitment to justice and the rule of law. They must also engage with the international community in a manner that upholds their credibility. Diplomacy is not just about making noise, Capo Daniel said. It is about making meaningful connections and presenting a cause that the world can support. He pointed out that movements like Biafra and Ambazonia have legitimate grievances that deserve attention. However, these grievances must be addressed through strategies that uplift their people rather than dragging them further into despair. The diaspora has always played a crucial role in freedom movements, from providing financial support to amplifying the message. The diaspora can be a powerful force for change, but with this power comes responsibility. Leaders in the diaspora must remain connected to the realities on the ground. They must resist the temptation to engage in reckless rhetoric or actions that could harm their people. Capo Daniel highlighted how past African freedom fighters successfully balanced their roles in the diaspora with their responsibility to their homeland. They were careful, he said. They understood that their actions abroad could have real consequences back home. One of the key takeaways from the arrest of Simon Ekpa and Cho Ayaba is the importance of adhering to international law. Both Finland and Norway have stringent laws against incitement and terrorism. By violating these laws, Simon Ekpa and Cho Ayaba have not only jeopardized their movement but also damaged their personal credibilities. International law exists for a reason, Capo Daniel explained. It is there to protect people and ensure justice. If we want the world to take our causes seriously, we must respect these laws. As we reflect on this story, it is clear that humility is a crucial trait for any leader. Simon Ekpa and Cho Ayaba's actions serves as a reminder that leadership is not about ego or personal ambition. It is about serving the people and making decisions that prioritize their well-being. Capo Daniel called on all leaders to embrace humility and accountability. We are not perfect, he said, but we must strive to be better. We owe it to our people to lead with integrity and compassion. So where do we go from here? For starters, Capo Daniel proposed a shift in focus. Instead of showmanship and propaganda, leaders should prioritize genuine capacity building. This means creating disciplined, well-trained forces that adheres to international standards. It also means engaging in diplomacy with integrity and transparency. For the people of Biafra and Ambazonia, this movement is an opportunity for reflection. The arrest of Simon Ekpa and Cho Ayaba should serve as a wake-up call. Movements must be led by individuals who put the interest of their people above their own ambitions. They must be willing to listen, adapt, and evolve. As I bring this story to a close, let me leave you with a thought. Fighting for freedom is a noble cause, but it requires wisdom, patience, and humility. Leaders like Simon Ekpa and Dr. Cho Ayaba have shown us what happens when these qualities are missing. Their arrests, while tragic, are also a reminder of the responsibility that comes with leadership. Let's learn from their mistakes. Let's demand more from our leaders and from ourselves. And most importantly, let's remember that true freedom is built on a foundation of justice, integrity, and compassion. Because at the end of the day, it is not just about the destination, it is about how we get there.
Greetings, fellow viewers. This is Chairman Capo Daniel of the People's Right Advocacy Platform, a minority advocacy group for the English-speaking people of Cameroon, which we want to call ourselves Ambazonia. Today, I want to bring you updates and breaking news that is coming from Finland. The Biafran self-declared Prime Minister Simon Ekpa have been arrested by Finnish authorities for inciting violence with the intention of terror, that means terror-related violence in Nigeria. Simon Ekpa is the leader, self-declared leader of one of the Biafran groups that has fallen off with Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently in detention in Nigeria. He was illegally picked up from Kenya into Nigeria. So I want to inform you that Simon Ekpa has been arrested. Simon Ekpa had partnered with Dr. Cho Ayaba of the Ambazonian movement, leader of the Ague of Sea and the ADF of Ambazonia, who is also in prison in Norway for charges related to incitement of crimes against humanity. It's very important that I lay the background to our people to understand and to learn from what is happening. Simon Ekpa, like Ayabacho, have previously had encounters with authorities in their countries of residence. On February 2023, Simon Ekpa was arrested in Finland for inciting violence that amounted to terrorism in his effort to fight against the Nigerian election. He was subsequently released because of lack of evidence, he was not charged in court. So just like the previous case, he has been arrested. He has not been arraigned. That means he has not been charged in the court. So we'll be monitoring the situation within the next 48 hours, according to the procedures in Finland, whether he will be charged this time in court. Unlike Ayaba Cho, who have been arraigned, that means he has been charged in the Norway court for inciting crimes against humanity in Cameroon. And the case that have been cited is statements he made asking people to kill Francophones, to kidnap Francophones, that was subsequently followed up by his forces in Bamenda, where 10 people were slaughtered in the name of attacking Francophones. That is clearly a crime against humanity, and he deserves to be arrested. So he was not arrested on a bogus claim. Both Simon Ekpa and Ayaba Cho are all European citizens carrying European passport. Europeans are known for their fairness in their justice, and we know that these cases are cases that are not just made up by these state parties, but they are real crimes on the ground. I want to inform our people that during the 60s, African freedom fighters fought also from the diaspora. They were never arrested, they were never persecuted by European state. Some even fought independence for Zimbabwe right from England itself. They were never arrested because they were very consistent in their practice of fighting for freedom with human rights expectation of the international community. What we are seeing in southern Cameroon and what we are also seeing in Biafra is excesses being used by leaders who are frustrated of not having the capacity on the ground, but using propaganda to claim responsibility for acts on the ground that they themselves are not responsible for, because of showmanship, because of lack of progress in diplomacy. So to make up for their shortcomings or their incompetence, they indulge in promoting ideology, promoting things in the ground that hurts their own people. I was in the TV on the Biafran platform to talk about this issue of Simon Ekpa, which is similar things Ayaba Cho have been doing in Cameroon. You don't sit in the diaspora, allow groups who are kidnappers, groups some of whom are created by the state party, to carry out action in your name simply because you want to look like a strong man or be a famous person. No. To fight for freedom for our people, we need to build real capacity and not rely on propaganda alone. We need to build capacity of forces and fighters that we are really in control of and that can guide them and their conduct to reflect what our people want. We should never tolerate groups that kidnaps in our name simply because we want to use them or to look like strong people. That is wrong, and that is why Ayaba Cho and Mr. Ekpa today, who have displayed some level of peacock syndrome that one can never imagine. I know these two gentlemen. I have had engagement with them in collaborating with them when we were trying to create the links between the Biafran, the alliance between the Biafran and the Ambazonian movement. I was part of the architect. I was the main propagandist who was out there to form how we are going to collaborate and see how we can to positively influence change on behalf of our people, to leverage our population, to leverage our will to fight for our freedom in order to make progress for our people. The Nigerian and the Cameroon government have made certain success to decapitate our movement by kidnapping, illegally arresting the main leader. The main leader of the Biafran movement is Nnamdi Kanu. The main leader of the Ambazonian movement is Ayok Tabe, both of whom have been illegally arrested by the state. In our frustration, I speak to the Biafra people, the Igbo people, and the Southern Cameroonians, the English-speaking Cameroonians. In our anger, do not commit crimes, especially against our own people. It will catch up with you sooner or later. You cannot claim to be fighting for a people and tolerate, accommodate, promote policies that hurts the people that you claim to be representing or fighting for their freedom, that hurts them more than it hurts the governments that we are trying to fight against. With no remorse, time and time again, we have seen Simon Ekpa and Ayaba promote policies that directly affect our people more than it affects the central governments, with the sole purpose to secure support from those gangsters on the ground because they want to look strong. We must be realistic with our chances against the government and use measures that align with the public interest of our movement. Simon Ekpa and Ayaba today are in prison not because they are fighting for freedom. They have not arrested them because they are championing the cause of minorities or indigenous people. They have arrested them because their conduct have promoted terrorism and they have used terror tactics against their own people, civilians. Be mindful of that. We must be careful. Even during war, there are laws. These are just moral issues. These are moral issues. People have pleaded with these two gentlemen, pleaded with them to change their propaganda, to change what they are doing on the ground, to be considerate on what is actually happening on the ground and not create their own reality on social media while the people are suffering on the ground without any care or concern about those same people that you claim to be protecting. If you are fighting for a people, you must be conscious and sensitive to their feelings and what they are going through, not exacerbate their problems. So today, like I said for the case of Ayaba, it will be a great relief for most of the people in Nigeria or even the Igbo people that Simon Ekpa have been arrested for crimes. Not because he is not important, not because Ayaba is not important, but because in their anger, I will say in their anger, because I know these gentlemen, they love their people. In their anger, in their ego, they have derailed what they originally stand for and are now doing things because they are overwhelmed by internal dynamic, they are overwhelmed by internal rivalry in trying to prove themselves as leaders, have fallen prey to groups that have set them up, committing crimes in their name, and they themselves has authorized those crimes. So our heart goes out to the Biafran people, the Igbo people, who are really suffering from marginalization and have no chance for any Biafran or Igbo person to ascend to become a president in Nigeria simply because they are Biafra. They deserve their cause to be championed and be heard in legitimate way. And I encourage all the activists and human rights activists that I know from Igbo land who are really worried about the security of their people due to encroachment from Fulani herdsmen, that they should learn from this and make adjustment to how they best represent and fight for the right of their people. The same with us in Southern Cameroon. We must learn from what is happening and not try to justify actions that have betrayed our people's trust in these two gentlemen. We must learn why they have been arrested. We must understand how to fight for our freedom. Because our cause is just does not give us a blank check to do anything. In war, there are rules, even as human beings. We must be sensitive to the suffering of our people. We must be pragmatic in our approach. We must balance propaganda with genuineness. It's a matter of character. So that is what we want to inform you today about Simon Ekpa. He has been arrested. Ayaba also have been brought to court as the constitution of Norway require. His bail was rejected. He is under strict condition while in detention. That means he's not even allowed to communicate with his family without supervision, and not all topics. He is restricted even with his communication with his wife, because his crime is incitement of crime against humanity because of the things he was doing. There are evidence. There are people that his forces killed that we know. People have advised him, he refused to hear. This is not how we fight for freedom. The cause of the English-speaking people in Cameroon is genuine. The cause of the Igbo people in Nigeria, for the Biafran people, are genuine. And they must be led by noble people who love their people and put their people's interests above their own political vision for their people. We cannot hold our people hostage to our vision. We must use our vision, our influence, to positively affect change for our people, mindful of the pain they are already going through and the hard times they are going through within the state of Nigeria and Cameroon. God bless you all.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I'll see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.